Right, so in today's video I'm just going to be giving you a bit of an update as to how this lawn's looking like now that it's mid-November. A few people have asked in the comments and I want to sort of talk as well a little bit about what we've done for this lawn this year, what we're going to be doing over the next few weeks, and what also the plans are moving forward over the next few months to help this lawn kind of survive through winter. So you can see, if we get in close now, for the most part, the sward's looking fairly decent. There's a nice density, it's not too dense, it's not too thin. We have got some imperfections like you're always going to have. So, you can see here, there's a little bit of weed grass, but, it's not killing anyone. There's a tiny bit more weed grass there, not killing anyone. There was a bit of moss over this side, but the iron application seems to have dealt with that. And I think, if you look at the actual consistency of the colour of the plant, I'm pleased with it. I mean, let's just get one thing straight. I'm never going to be winning Britain's best lawn with this lawn that I've got, but actually I think compared to a lot of lawns at the moment, it's actually fine. And believe it or not, looking at this space as it is now, it's not had a cut for 3 weeks, and that's obviously for a couple of different factors. The first and kind of the main one really is the fact that the temperatures have dropped quite a bit recently. Obviously we're getting ever closer to winter at the moment, but I think the key one has been that I've not overfed the plants. I think in the past couple of lawn care seasons, what I've tended to do is chuck quite a lot of feed down onto the lawn, and it promotes a massive amount of growth, but also results in a lot of cutting as well. And this time of year, you don't want to be encouraging lots and lots of growth from that plant. The aim's kind of got to be to get this plant to survive through winter, hence why we got on the space. I think in terms of videos, it was 3 weeks ago, but in terms of when it actually happened, it was around about a month ago when I put the iron application down. And that iron was obviously to do a few things. Firstly was to give the grass a little bit of a green up, which is always nice at this time of year, but it was to kill any moss that was in the lawn, which was only small, but to dry out the leaf blade as well, to draw that moisture out, to actually prevent any disease. And I put an application of autumn winter fertiliser down too, which just basically means that it contains a lot less nitrogen, a little bit more potassium, a little bit more phosphorus, just to promote a little bit of root development, which again is key at this time of year. But I can't entirely take credit for this lawn looking half decent. Most of it's just nature, not really me. I mean, part of it is because of the choices I've made in terms of not putting too much feed down onto the lawn, not over applying anything. But actually I think a big reason why this lawn survives better and thrives better than the one in the garden, particularly at this time of year, is the fact that it gets a lot more sun at the front of the house. There's not really much obscuring the sun throughout the day, and there's a massive field down at the bottom, and the wind whips up from there like you wouldn't believe. Trust me, when it's bad, it's pretty bad. But what that helps to do, you get the dew on the grass in the morning, the wind dries a lot of that dew off of the plant. It prevents disease from being able to spread, and it keeps it in a fairly healthy condition. And that's what, again, the soil never really stays too moist for too long because the conditions are just much more favourable out at the front. So I'm using the Web push mower again today, and I think this is getting into either probably the third or fourth month now that it's been since I've actually got on this lawn with an electric mower. I've just been using this for quite a while, and it's a boss bit of kit, but yeah, like I said, it's not been cut this space for 3 weeks. So let's see how much is going to come off now. I've got this set on the highest setting. I'm not sure what the millimetre thing is, but yeah, we'll see how much we can nick off the top. Okay, a fair bit is going to come off. Maybe I should have gone with the hater, but like anything that's to do with lawn care, we live and learn, don't we? This is a bit of a mistake. What's the worst thing that can happen? The grass just grows back and we cut it a little bit longer next time. So there we go. It does look like quite a lot of grass, and to be fair, it was a fair bit of the plant that we took just taken off. You're talking maybe 1 to 2 centimetres worth of growth, which was possibly more than I wanted to cut off, but like I said, no one's going to die. It is grass. It is quite literally going to grow back, possibly a little bit slower than what it usually would, because like I said, temperatures are dropping a little bit at the moment, and this is where my new tool is going to come into play, and that's this thing. It's the Fiskars, well, I don't actually know the official name for what it is, but basically it's just an edging tool, a little handle there, rather than having to break your back or rather than using a strimmer. I just thought I'd pick one up because sometimes the strimmer's a little bit messy, you get less control over it. Whether this is something that will live in the garage and never come out is yet to be seen. Whether it's something that I'm going to be using every week, we shall see. Now, I know someone's going to comment on this video and say that I'm leaving all the grass clippings on the lawn. Well, I've collected them from the cylinder cut that I've just given the lawn. Now, these ones, I am going to leave them. I could get the leaf blower, I could rake them up. If I'm going to be honest, I just can't be bothered, so I'm just going to leave them as they are. They're going to decompose, they're going to be fine. This isn't a show lawn. Yeah, it's at the front of the house, and it might look a little bit messy for a bit, but you know, I'm happy with that. Anyone who's watched my videos for a while will know that I often leave parts of the garden looking probably more messy than I probably should do, and maybe I could tidy them up a little bit more. And got a little bit of hate, I guess you call it, on one of the most recent videos where someone said that my garden looked a mess and I left the cushions out and I've got grass growing through the stones, and they couldn't cope with how messy I'd left it. But you know what, it's just when you're working all week and you've not got the time, you want to record a video on the weekend, but you only got a few hours of daylight, and when it is light sometimes it's raining. I mean, it's been chucking it down here all morning. This is the only chance I've got to kind of come out really and give the lawn a cut. It's all going to be fine. We're not going to die. We live and learn. This is Novice Gardener channel. This isn't, I've been in the lawn industry for 65 years and I can make grass grow with my little finger. This is, I just do things. If they work, I do them some more. If they don't, I don't tend to do them again. Do you know what? I reckon they're decent then. Let's give us a decent little cut. Let's try them around the light. I'm getting there with this. It's not too bad. Not the greatest way of doing it, but not the worst. There we go then. The lawn's had its first cut in 3 weeks, and I can't really imagine it's going to be having many more over the next few weeks because like I said, we're getting closer and closer to winter now. Temperatures are dropping. It's not really growing much. I probably will give it another feed, most likely either next week or the week after, something that's going to see it through then for the rest of winter. And it might possibly have another iron application as well, like I said, just to keep that any sort of moss and things at bay. Gives us a nice green up on the lawn too and gets it looking nice. But I think for the most part the sward is actually doing okay. Yeah, it's not completely perfect, there's the odd thing like I've said, but you know, for this time of year I think it's fairly decent. And it does get me thinking about products as well, in terms of what we put onto our lawns and how much of the stuff we really need to get down. Yeah, you can put a lot of things onto your space and get it looking really green, really thick, really lush, but I've really not done a whole lot to this lawn this year. It's had a handful of feeds. It had an application, I think, of seaweed in February time, very early March possibly. It's had a couple of applications of iron. It's been a hollow time aerated, which, you know, there's some people who debate whether it is actually effective, but if you think of the reason why you're doing it and the impact it has on changing the soil biology, then it does have an impact on your space. I mean, depending on the plant you have, but that's a conversation for a completely different day. Today's video was really just an update, and yeah, so far so good. Let us know in the description if you want as to how your lawns are getting on. We've had a much better autumn so far compared to what we had this time last year. I remember from last year, it was probably the start of June, we had nothing but really rain through all of summer and all the autumn and the winter, and it was a nightmare. Whereas this year things are nowhere near as waterlogged. So if you have enjoyed today's video, feel free to give it a like. If you haven't already, consider subscribing to the channel, because there's lots of lawn care videos that I've got posted, lots of lawn care stuff that I'm going to be doing over the next few months and the next 12 months and so on and so forth as well. But it's not just lawn care. I've got loads of garden renovation things out there for you to have a gander at if you haven't already. did a full renovation on the garden about 2 or 3 years ago now. So all those videos are still alive. See how I've transformed that space. It's not the greatest space in the world, but I tell you what, it's fairly decent for what we've actually done doing it all ourselves. So yeah, if you want to check those out, and like I said, if you haven't already, consider subscribing. Finally, thanks for watching.